Yeah, that phrase, running rugby again, the Scots fans will be happy to see some of that, won't they, Gordon?
Well, they'll be absolutely delighted. And of course, we have to give the respect to the Ivory Coast team. They've got here on merit. They've beaten Namibia, they've beaten Zimbabwe, so they're not rubbish. But I've got to be honest with you, I watched them training this week. I don't know how they got here, unless they're like the Fijians, and once somebody blows a whistle and they've got the ball in their hands and they go absolutely mental. But I can't see it. They look so laid back, and I really doubt the general fitness of some of them as well. But we'll have to wait and see.
As for Scotland, though, they arrive here in very good heart, don't they, after coming back from nowhere into the Five Nations Championship, didn't they?
Yes. I've got to say that I was one of the few doubters at how we would perform in the Five Nations Championship this year. And of course what happened was a complete revelation. For us to go to Twickenham to possibly win the Grand Slam was a dream come true. So the boys are out here, it's bonus time, and everyone's here to do their best for Gavin Hastings.
What was it that turned it around for them? Was it simply Captain Fantastic?
Well, I've got to say that if Ireland had kicked the penalties that they should have kicked against Scotland and Gavin had missed his, it could have been a disastrous season. But Gavin became Captain Fantastic. He gave the boys a tremendous lift, and we've never looked back since.
I suppose then it must be a real worry for Scottish fans with him leading the team out here today.
There's a wee bit of a question mark over the discipline of this team from Ivory Coast. In the playoffs for the last World Cup, one of their games against Morocco was it ended early. The police had to go on the park because they actually broke into a riot. One of their players was sent off in the game when they were over here 2 months ago against Northern Transvaal. When I spoke to their team manager 2 days ago, he was very upset that we could possibly have any doubt over his team's discipline, and he's given us one or two magic quotes, which I hope for rugby's sake, never mind the Ivory Coast, that they don't come back and bite him in the rear end.
In going out to avoid injuries, though, the players then will sometimes ease off a bit?
Hey, Alistair, no one will go on that park today to avoid an injury. I mean, here's the boys coming down the park, they'll be G'd up, and they know what they've got to do today, and that's got a very good victory. Their own personal safety just now is the last thing in their mind, because if it was on their mind, they wouldn't be coming down that tunnel.
So the Scottish players beginning to take the field here at the Olympia Park. Gavin Hastings, the man who's going to retire at the end of this World Cup, leading them out and looking for a big finale from the Scottish players. Athanas Dali, the captain of the Ivory Coast, leads his team out to some great applause from these fans here in South Africa. It really is a battle of David against Goliath. There's no doubt that the crowd will be on the side of the little Davids of the Ivory Coast. Scotland's task really, though, is to score a lot of points. Gavin Hastings, the captain, then will be pressing it upon his men that it may come down to points difference at the end, and a good win, a lot of points, is always great for morale. So as Gavin Hastings performs his final warm-up exercises, we're going to hand you over to our commentary team. Gordon Brown should have made his way down to the commentary box just now. Our match commentator, Chris Ray.
Thank you, Alistair. Well, the waiting just about over for these teams. They've been out here, of course, for over a week. They've been training every day. It becomes a little bit tiresome, a little bit wearisome, and really now all they want to do is to get the game started and to get into the action. And so it's going to be most important, as Gordon Brown was saying earlier, for a good start from Scotland. The conditions absolutely ideal. I can't remember seeing a better pitch. It's perfect, and there is that little bit of give, so it's not going to be at all damaging to the players who are going to be thundering into each other at a rate of knots. Now the team's just lining up for the national anthems. Gavin Hastings, of course, the record holder of just about every record there is in Scottish rugby. And there's a tremendous contingent of Scottish supporters who have come out. We were talking to them in the car park earlier. They've come all the way from all over South Africa and Scotland. Now the anthems. easiest tune to keep time to, but a very emotional moment, as you can see, for the Ivorians, the biggest and greatest day in their history. And now Flower of Scotland. At Murrayfield or on the Cornfield, it's still a great moment. Let's now look at the teams. The Scottish team there, 4 changes in the side which beat Romania last month, all in the pack. Ian Smith and Peter Walton play on the flanks. Paul Burnell comes in on the loose head for only the 2nd time in his international career, and Rob Wainwright switches from the flank to number 8. The back division is unchanged. Gavin Hastings captains the side for the 17th time, and Craig Chalmers, playing in his 43rd international, becomes the most capped Scottish fly half. It's a massively experienced Scottish side, 295 caps. Contrast that with the Ivory Coast, the raw inexperience, just 15 clubs from which to choose, although most of the side come from French clubs. 3 players to look out for with first division experience: Frederic Dupont, the scrum half from Nîmes, Celestin Ngabala on the left wing from Cahors, and the team talisman Jakaria Sonoko at number 8 from Biarritz, who was really on the fringe of selection for the French World Cup squad. Watch out too for the captain, Atanase Dali at number 10. He is a very tricky fly half. So the teams just lining up and waiting for the referee, Feliz Vito from Western Samoa, taking charge of his 8th international. On the left there is Ian Rogers, who's the reserve referee from South Africa, running the line with Itone Tonga from Tonga on the other side. So a big day for Feliz Vito in his first major international, although it's his 8th match as an international. So Scotland to kick off. The conditions, as we've said, perfect. The temperature in the 70s, but it will be all right. And of course, it's late on in the afternoon now, so as it gets on, a little bit cooler. Feliz Vito just checking with the Ivorians. They're all ready, and we're off. Craig Chalmers with the kick. It's taken by Perry, Patrice Perry, and held. Ivorians are trying to maul it forward, but the Scots forcing them to give ground. Now to Dali inside his 22, and that's a confident kick and a good start for Dali and for the Ivorians. Gordon.
Yes, Chris, that will settle them down. I must admit I was quite impressed how the Ivorians won the ball and got the ball clear there.
So just inside the Scottish half, and Feliz Vito just making sure that the line, requisite distance between the lines, he's standing no nonsense, moving Jehi apart and right in there in the first instance, making it absolutely clear that he's wanting to see space between the lines, and Stuart Campbell just helping him on his way there. That's Peter Walton. Up there to the back, beautifully taken by Scotland. Waiting for it is Redpath. Out to Chalmers. Chalmers lofting the first of many high kicks. That's a very accurate one too. That's going to be troublesome. In there is Shield. The Scots are now taking it up to the 22, but there was a knock forward. So Craig Chalmers, a fine lofted kick by him, and today the most capped, the Scottish fly half, taking over from the great John Rutherford of Selkirk. 43 caps. That's good ball won by the Ivorians, but wasted there by Dupont, straight out on the full. But a confident-looking scrummage that. But his forward certainly won't thank him for that. Right back on the 22. 1,000 to 1 outsiders. In fact, I think by most people you could put a few knots on that and still not have a very good bet. But they've started confidently enough as Mackenzie throws up to the back. Up there is Smith. Wainwright waiting for it on the peel, but it's come back on the Ivorian side, and once again Daly just can't quite making clean contact, the ball coming off the side of his boot. So two good chances there, two good pieces of possession by the Ivorians, slightly wasted. Not many have travelled from the Ivory Coast for this. Mackenzie throws, up there goes Doddy Ware, in the middle. Good controlled Scottish play. They're mauling around him now. Now the ball comes from Mackenzie. Mackenzie, one of the smallest hookers, but none more committed. Obstruction though. Obstruction by Scotland. Ian Smith in front of the ball carrier, so it'll be a chance for the Ivory Coast to clear their lines. Which they do, Kouazi. And that's a good, confident kick, taken play up almost to the halfway line.
Yes, Chris, it was a lovely catch there from Doddy Ware. I'm quite sure today that he should win all the ball possible. But as Scotland drove forward there through Mackenzie, of course, he ran into one of his own teammates, and Scotland were then offside.
So a good chance wasted there. But of course, nerves on both sides. Remember the match yesterday, both sides showing signs of nerves in the early stages. That was a ball won by the Ivorians, but made very difficult by Scotland coming in so quickly on the loose. Now Dupont out to Daly. Daly kicks for his left wing, Ngabala. It's a very dangerous and good ball that Gavin Hastings just couldn't quite get across to. There's nothing he could have done anyway. That was a fine, controlled and well-placed ball by Daly, who's something of a hero for the Ivory Coast players. It was his father, indeed, who was one of the founding fathers of the Ivory Coast Union. Only 22 years old. It really is a bit of a fairy story. That's Stuart Campbell, Dundee High School FP, a sixth member of the club to have played for his country. And it's Campbell who goes up. Two takes, two-handed take, perfect control, and now a good drive from the Scots. This is where they're going to be so strong. Redpath. Now the Scots carry it on. Up over the 22 they come. Trying to lay it back, but it's taken on that far side by Dupont. This is dangerous play. If Dupont could control it, it just ran into touch. But where did Dupont come from? Frederick Dupont from Nîmes stole that ball and was very dangerous.
Well, Chris, now they're posting their name. They're telling us why they're here in the first place. That was incredible carelessness from the Scottish forwards to lose that ball.
They seem to have it under control, but that really was a marvellous piece of countering by Dupont. So, a dangerous position for the Scots as Mackenzie throws into this full line-out. Number 7 at the back for Scotland is Smith, but taken by Weir. Safely back to Chalmers behind his own line, and that's a good kick. Cleared the danger up to the 22.
Yes, Chris, the Scots are finding out already that these Ivorians are very awkward customers to play against. Everything they're going to do will be very unorthodox.
Well, it's certainly a most encouraging start for them, and much better than anyone, I think, had previously predicted. That is Sonoko. He is the outstanding player of the side, standing at the back. Up there goes Wainwright. Bolton trying to control. Now Redpath has it. To Hastings, and Hastings unleashes one of those mighty howitzers, and that's a beauty. Now that's more like it, and that certainly will have encouraged his forwards. Just what the doctor ordered for Scotland. And the perfect captain's riposte to that Ivory Coast country. Once again, Felice Vito just making sure that the lines are separate. You can't now line up out of the line out and jump in. It's back to the old law. Number 8 at the back there for Scotland is Rob Wainwright. It's taken once again by Scotland. Good ball to Redpath, to Chalmers. A very poor pass though to Stanger. Difficult for Stanger to do anything with that, but he's still on his feet. Now the Scots regroup. Once again Redpath has it to Chalmers, this time going for the chip over the head of Boissy. Nothing else he could do there with Kenny Logan.
I was impressed there by Stanger, the way he just stood up. The back row came round, they got in behind him, got the possession, and then a lovely deft touch there from Chalmers to put Scotland down into this corner.
Well, the Scots are certainly not wanting for encouragement. Terrific atmosphere around this most picturesque ground. As Kevin McKenzie throws, into the middle it goes. Doddy Weir can't quite control it, but Scotland do appear to have possession. If they can work it back now, McKenzie digging and delving, trying to get it back for Redpath. Now to Chalmers. Chalmers the loop into Logan. Logan well taken down, but still it comes back on the Scottish side. Away comes Burnell. Burnell has McKenzie in support. Long blast of the whistle. The Scots penalised. I think it's Peter Wright for going in with the boot. Yes, Peter Wright, who is prone to not being very careful where he puts his feet, and on that occasion he was penalised for stamping on one of the Ivorians, and a chance lost because, Gordon, that was another good attacking opportunity there.
Yes, it was an excellent opportunity. It was just possibly a pity that Paul Burnell drove on when he did, because he then was a bit isolated. And of course, when the Ivorians then went down on him, they were killing the ball, certainly. But for the Scots to be as indisciplined, really it's out of order, because it was a fear that we had for the Ivorians, not for the Scots.
Well, the injured player is Satiq, Jean Satiq, the centre and vice-captain of the team. And let me just put this into perspective. You know, the Ivorians were beaten in their warm-up matches to the tune of 97-7 by Northern Transvaal, and even Western Transvaal, one of the second division provinces, put on 67 points. So this is a tremendously encouraging start for them. Just the start they wanted, really. They've come to learn. They have not come to be beaten out of sight, because that would do no good to their morale. And this certainly is just the start they wanted. We're on the halfway line now. Angol on the hooker. One of the few throw-ins. In fact, it may well be the first throw-in. In fact, it's Jehi, the prop, the tight head prop, with the throw. It's a good-looking throw and well controlled, taken by Perry at the back, but not straight. No, in fact, the referee giving a free kick because the Ivorians had closed the gap. Away comes McKenzie, out to Stanger. Stanger looking for room. Has Shield in support, but he's well taken down in the tackle by Nyaku. The Scots, though, still carry on up over the halfway line. Redpath waits. In there is Ian Smith, looking for the ball. It's now out into midfield to Shield. The switch with Hastings. Hastings is straight through as he was against France. He kicks over the head of... It's going to be a try. Oh, the loveliest bounce and the luckiest bounce, but Hastings was there to take it. And Captain Marvellous has struck again. Gavin Hastings is in very fittingly for Scotland's first try of this World Cup.
Well, Chris, can I just say thank you to Gavin for coming back into our world, because Scotland were being uncharacteristically careless in the lead-up to that bit of broken play.
So Hastings to convert his own try, and he has no problem with that right in front of the post. So 7 points to Scotland and 7 points to Hastings, and at last Scotland have shown some form. So Hastings doing rather as he did in the game against France, splitting the defence with the switch, and here it is. It was Shield and the switch, and the defence just opened up ahead of him, and he kicked over Kouassi's head. Back went Nyaku, but the bounce was favourable for Hastings, and all he had to do was touch them. So the kick-off, and careless mistake there, out on the full. Of course, the other thing to remember is that in the atmosphere here, very thin atmosphere, the ball travels so much faster, you've just got to be that much more accurate with your kicking off. Taken off the back by Wainwright, but well tackled by Patrice Perry, and that could be ball for the Ivory Coast, but going over the top, so penalty to Scotland.
Actually, Chris, the referee got in the way there of Wainwright as he came off.
Craig Chalmers, a steepling kick and a beauty. Deep into the Ivorian 22. So perhaps Scotland now have got over their jitters and they can start to settle down. There's Doddy Ware. Melrose played number 8, but today in the second row. Up there goes Campbell beautifully. Not a good pass from Redpath. Picked up by Logan, trying to counter, which he does. Such a dangerous runner. He's had a marvellous season, Kenny Logan. The first player from Stirling County to be capped. There are 3 of them in the World Cup squad, and of course the champion Scottish club this season. What a season he's had. So Toussaint Jehi with the throw. That's Blay, the other prop. Taken there by Bado, but through so quickly on it is Weir. Now Redpath waits. They would dearly like this one if they can dig it out. No. They've won a penalty. Ivorians are going to ground, not staying on their feet. So Gavin Hastings has no doubt about this, and I think he's right at this stage to go for the points, isn't he, Gordon?
Absolutely, 100%. Scotland, Chris, just have to settle down, stick to their basics and let loose. So far the forwards are the ones that have been playing far too loosely. If they could just settle down, go through the basics, and we'll score lots of points.
So Gavin Hastings, 570 points for his country. Scotland's leading goal scorer by some distance, record cap holder, you name it, and Hastings has got it. He got good contact. That looks a lovely kick. And there was never any doubt about that. He's got his kicking boots on. He was striking the ball quite beautifully. So another 3 points to Scotland, another 3 points to Gavin Hastings. 10 points to 0 now, the Scottish lead. So it's Daly with the kick-off. He spotted a little gap. Shield coming across inside his 22. And Shield, well, that was a lovely kick. I wasn't sure if that went into touch first. We'll see. Went into touch. That was a lovely kick by Shield. Shield, of course, who's played much of his rugby at fly half, but playing in the same club side as Craig Chalmers, they've been restricted. Another Melrosian, Doddy Ware, who's done a lot of good line-out work so far. And again it's Ware, two-handed take, easy to control, and now they start the maul, but they're not being able to get very much change out of the Ivorians. Redpath to Chalmers, quickly to Shield, now into Stanger, but that was all done a bit slowly. Very pedestrian. And away now comes Satiq for the Ivory Coast, kicking for Ngabala on that far side. But across comes Shield. Shield can't go for touch, so he passes inside to Hastings, who can. And once again, just a little touch, little flourish from the Ivorians. And they're obviously trying to release Ngabala, this big left winger, who is apparently on the books of Farou. If Jacques Farou manages to get his circus going in France, Ngabala is one of the first players he'll be going for. That is Kono, as Jehi throws up to the back. Patrice Perry. Now it's Daly. Now Nailka into Boazo, and away comes Kouassi. Kouassi kicks for Satiq. This could be difficult and dangerous, but back goes Kenny Logan, doing the covering duties so well. But that's the first real attacking ploy we've seen from the Ivorians, and it was again a neat piece of play by this man Satiq, who runs affairs in the middle of the field. So, Strummage 5 meters out. Dupont waits. Out to Daly. Now what have they got up their sleeves? The switch with Ngabala trying to bring him into the play, but well taken by Shield and by Chalmers. It comes back on the Scottish side. There's plenty of time here for Gavin Hastings to clear his lines, and that's another massive kick. Very disheartening for the Ivorians, but certainly encouraging for his forwards. But once again, the Ivorians have shown that they're not afraid to counter given the opportunity.
They have got fabulous flair, they've shown what they can do, and certainly the Scottish forwards are going to have to waken up their ideas. They've made far too many mistakes so far. The line-out has been smashing, the scrum's been okay, but their mauling has been awful, and they must get their act together.
Well, when you consider the standard was set yesterday by what was a magnificent performance, and that is what the other countries have got to match, and certainly Scotland haven't come close to it. Once again, that's taken by Lassisi, although he's had to give ground, but Ivory Coast have possession. Dupont, Daly rather forced into a pointless kick there, taken by Craig Joyner. Hastings waiting to see if there's a chance to run, but there was no opportunity for that, so he takes the safe option and again plants the ball into touch just inside the Ivory Coast half.
Now, if the Scottish forwards can lift the game and commit the Ivory Coast forwards much more, they're already one or two of the Ivory Coast forwards are walking. Their fitness must be in doubt.
Well, this certainly was very much the case at their training. They didn't train very enthusiastically, and it could tell in the latter stages, but that's good support play at the line, although once again they're having to give a lot of ground to the Scots, but they've regrouped bravely, and valiantly they come back now. To Lassisi, the open side flanker, taken by Walton, and held up on the 10-metre line. The Scots dragging for it now, but once again the Ivorians have it. Out to Satiq. That's not a good pass though to Kouassi, and Kouassi forced to kick as far as Hastings, and Hastings another mighty kick down that touchline. All the way back they'll have to come, and there's probably not much on for Dupont. He'll have to touch it down. He could... So it's the dropout, and there's the crowd. It's banked high in this stadium. It takes 30,000, and you know we'll not be terribly far short of that, because they're all sitting out, decked out on the grass as well. It was really a wonderful atmosphere, and the noise, they're making enough noise for 60,000. Athenaeus Daly drops out a little bit long. Back there goes Weir to Redpath. Chalmers thinks about the pass to Shield, a long pass, but it's not a good one to Mackenzie. Mackenzie has to hold it up and wait. Oh, that's a mix-up between Joyner and Gavin Hastings. Joyner taken high, but he stays on his feet well. Redpath down the short side. Tries the long pass out to Stanger. Stanger trying to make a little bit of room for Logan, but he's taken down well by Dupont and Sunoco on the 22-metre line. The Scottish forwards in for it now, but with no great conviction. Now to Redpath. To Chalmers. Shield trying to find a gap. In there at his elbow is Ian Smith. The Scots now looking for it with a bit more enthusiasm, but I'm not awfully sure it's going to come back. And in fact, the referee deciding that the Scots had the opportunity to play it, they didn't make the best use of it, and there's been some chit-chat, back-chat by the Scots. So 2 pieces of rank indiscipline there by the Scots.
I must admit, I'm not at all happy just now with the Scottish forwards. It seems to be a wee attitude problem that they've got. There are one or two who are certainly not showing the commitment that I certainly would demand from them, and I'm not on the park.
Well, we're now into the second quarter of the match, 20 minutes gone, and the Scottish lead at 10 points to 0. But as Gordon Brown has rightly been saying, the Scottish forwards look decidedly lethargic. They haven't upped the pace, and they've managed to keep the Ivorians in the game. Now Jehi, just checking with his scrum half Dupont where he wants the ball. Toussaint Jehi, one of the characters of the side. Up there goes Weir though, he's almost unstoppable at the line-out. Not a great pass from Redpath, but well taken by Chalmers. Now away comes Sheelan, a lovely run. This is much better. He's got support from Wainwright and from Smith, and surely there was taken out there. Yes, there was no doubt about it. Stanger was taken out without having the ball, and he gave a penalty. He might almost have given a penalty try. It was pretty close. I don't think anyone was going to stop Stanger, but he was taken out before he had the ball, and the referee Phileas Vito had no hesitation in awarding the penalty. Here we go, a lovely run by Shield. He's got so many silky skills, a beautiful distributor of the ball, inside to Wainwright. There was Ian Smith in support, classic support, and there was the tackle, and it was by the centre Satiq. So Gavin Hastings in front of the posts, straight between the uprights, and he stretches the Scottish lead to 13 points, and that certainly was the most enterprising and exciting piece of Scottish individualism we've seen so far.
Yes, that's two fabulous pieces that we've seen from the backs. These now should give the Scottish forwards the lift. The boys have to get stuck in up front.
Shield, who really has come on so strongly during the season. He played beautifully against Romania in partnership with Tony Stanger, and lovely skills there from him. Well controlled by the Scots. Chalmers outside his 22, but hoists a mighty kick. Up there is Ngabala, but a difficult ball as Shield had followed up quickly. Now away comes the Ivory Coast. Straight down the field, though. That was the waste of an opportunity to Gavin Hastings. Hastings looking to counter, and this is what the Scots have been doing so well all season. To Kenny Logan. Logan looking for space, only finds Sunoco. Back to Dupont. Clever piece of play by Dupont. To Shield, picked up by Redpath now. The Scots looking to launch another counter-attack to Chalmers, and if that bounces well for Chalmers, but it doesn't, over the line. And so it looks as if it'll be a dropout. 22, if Daly is sensible. Well, in no hurry, but it's a dropout.
I just would hate to see the Scots getting lulled into running bad ball, because there was an instance there when one of the Scots boys had the ball and was faced with 5 of the Ivory Coast boys.
So Atanase Daly drops out there. That's not a good one. Straight to Wainwright. Not the man you want to hit. But he's lost possession in turn in that tackle. Dupont back to Daly. And this time Daly gets his kick where he wants it. Directs it into touch.
The reaction there of the Scottish forwards to the ball going to Wainwright was almost nil.
Very slow, Gordon, I think, on the uptake, the Scots at the moment. Perhaps it's the heat, although really it's not all that hot. They've been in this sort of climate for over a week now. They've acclimatized to the altitude, and we are certainly operating at altitude, and very well. Now Shield tries the switch again with Hastings. Smith in support. Back for Redpath. Redpath's found a little gap. He sent support from Wainwright, but he's taken in the tackle of the hooker Angoran and loses possession. Wainwright furious with himself, sporting a bit of a kicker there. He had stitches inserted in an eye, and there's an injury to one of the Scots and to one of the Ivorians.
It's going to be very difficult, you know, for the Scots here. My heart goes out to the Scottish forwards, it really does. Although I'm very critical of them, everything about this team to play against is awkward. But it means that the Scots forward have to up their level of concentration and commitment, not relax on it.
Well, here is perhaps the way they can do it, and Redpath was very quick to spot a little gap. The defence had fanned out, and that was a fine piece of play. Good support work by Wainwright, but he was taken in a very hard tackle by Angoran, and they certainly do tackle. The man injured for the Ivorians is their captain Atanase Daly, and Peter Wright is the injured party for the Scots. Wright playing on the tight head this afternoon, and Burnell playing on the other side. Now, I think we've got an injury still. Is it still to Daly? Yes, he is pretty crucial to them, so that he's the last one they want to see go off. But it's not looking too good at the moment. The Scots just regrouping and getting their breath, and they're certainly getting a little bit of haggis power. That's perhaps exactly just what they need. Not too much of it, though.
I've got to say, Chris, I'm terribly disappointed to see Daly injured like this. He's a lovely wee fellow. He's very inspirational to his side. And when I met him at the hotel 2 days ago, when I went to see the Ivory Coast players, he was positively charming. He couldn't have been more helpful to us, and he's a real inspiration to his team.
I think the thing about them is that they're the most courteous of gentlemen off the field. They can get very passionate on the field, although we've seen tremendous discipline and self-restraint from them so far in the match, which does them credit, and they are just enjoying every minute of it. But this is an exceptionally sad sight to see Atenes Daly, their captain and director of operations, their arch strategist, being carried from the field. And it was here that he obviously took a bit of a blow. Nothing malicious, I fancy, but just one of those things. And this really will be very serious for the Ivorians. 13-0 down and deprived now of their leading light behind the scrum. The probable replacement will be Abubakar Kamara, who has won 12 caps, so he's experienced, but not at this level. And of course, Daly plays for the French club Clamart in the second division, and so has a great deal more experience than the man about to replace him. He'll be allowed to come onto the field, so generous and warm applause for Daly as he leaves the field, to be replaced now by Kamar. So the Ivorians must somehow lift themselves. That's a good scrummage taken at the back by Sanoku, almost spoilt by Redpath. The referee says play on. Away comes Kamara. His first pass isn't a terribly good one. To Buazo, he's well taken on the 22. Now this could be very good ball for Scotland if they can win it quickly. But the awkwardness of these Ivorians. Away comes Wright, switches to Wainwright. Now it's the switch with Shield. Shield coming up to the 22, but he's taken in a crunching tackle. Ball coming back on the Ivorian side, but they'd gone to ground. They couldn't stay on their feet, and they've been penalised. Ian Rogers, though, the touch judge on this side, has spotted some foul play. Some kneeing by the Ivorian prop, Jehi, Toussaint Jehi. He says, outraged that he could possibly be held responsible for that. But we'll see here. Now there is Perry round on the wrong side in any case. And it must have been in there. There was a knee going in, and it was Jehi who was held to be responsible. Not altogether clear from that, but in any case they were offside. There's Toussaint Jehi. He also plays in France. Milau, 32 years of age, the pack leader. The odd job of the team. So it's Gavin Hastings with this kick. He's proved that he's striking the ball very cleanly, and of course in this atmosphere and his mighty boot, the ball will fly forever. 100% record in the match so far. And he may well have just pushed that. Does it come round? No. So that's his first failure of the match. And the Scottish lead still 13 points to 0. And we've had almost 30 minutes played, 10 minutes still of the half remaining. And 13 points may not be just quite the return that the Scots have been hoping for at this stage. So in the absence of the captain, it's the full-back, Kouassi, to kick off. The referee says play on. And the Scots now are in an excellent attacking position if they can win quick ball. They do. Now out to Mackenzie. Mackenzie to Hastings. The long pass out to Joyner, but it wasn't a very good pass.
I found it incredible there that the referee allowed the Scots to charge that drop kick down when the ball was still well inside the Ivorian 22.
I think the Ivorians were taken aback too, and poor old Kouassi was so far inside his 22, the last thing he expected. Anyway, the upshot is that there's a line out inside the 22, deflected by Coney at the front, but it's now the Scots backs in motion. Out to Shield, Shield the long pass to Logan to Hastings on the loop. Hastings going in for his second try of the match, and he's over. Is this going to be another Hastings bonanza? His second try of the match. He scored all the points so far. And that's 18. And very cleverly, he found himself on the end of that. Never stopped running. So Gavin Hastings, his 14th try for Scotland and his 18th point of the match.
It was a beautifully constructed try. Obviously, copybook stuff from the training ground. The final long pass that we may see here, Chris, actually found the boys on the wide outside having slightly overrun the ball carrier. But it was lovely to see the ball coming out wide now.
Shiel is really the most beautiful passer of a ball, the old-fashioned skill, and he does it so well. He's got lovely hands. So Hastings, from a testing angle, he seems to have got that one perfectly. Oh, there was never any doubt about that. So he's increased the Scottish lead, and suddenly, from being 13, we're up to 20. And Hastings, 20 points for the match, and already, of course, he established a record. It only lasted 2 hours in 1987 when he got 27 points against Romania. And then I think it was overtaken 2 hours later by Didier Cambrabero. So that already in his compass. It's Kamara, the replacement for Daly, with the dropout, a high-hanging one. Stewart went up for it, couldn't control it. Now the Ivory Coast have it. Taken by Dupont. Lost by Jehi. Cleaned up by Smith. Smith has room to move. He's bundled over, lays it well back for Redpath. Redpath has a second chance, but offside. Quickly taken by Kevin Mackenzie. Now away comes Stanger. Stanger well held by Kamara. Not back. 10 metres, must withdraw. Quickly taken by Redpath again. They're still not back 10 metres, but this time Shiel and Joyner. Now Joyner can go. He's got Lasisi inside him. Lasisi's not going to give him an inch. The kick taken there by the centre Satik and marked. Good covering by him. Well, Lasisi certainly tracked Joyner, the fastest man on the Scottish side, forcing him to kick. And that was good, well-organised play by the Ivorians.
Yes, I must admit I was very impressed by Lasisi. He is one of the few Ivorian forwards who does certainly have a bit of pace. You can see here, I mean, Joyner can move, but he obviously decided at the last minute that I'm going to get nothing out of this exchange, and he was dead right.
So, we have a line out. And Scotland have cut to 2. Campbell at the front, Doddy Weir at the back. Opposite Weir is Patrice Perry. Oh, there's been a change. Kevin Mackenzie is trying to explain to the referee that there's a free kick. He should have the throw-in. The referee has taken no nonsense. You dare not obviously argue with Mr. Vito. He's having a word. Rob Wainwright is now trying to bring some good Scottish logic to this position. He said, too much talking, not going to have it. So Scottish logic on this occasion has not prevailed, and it's now going to be a penalty. And he certainly made the most of it. There's a lovely kick. But the answer, I think, is, Gordon, don't argue with Mr. Vito.
Hey, listen, there should be no indiscipline like that at all from the Scottish side. It's crazy, it's suicidal. They don't have to do these things.
Right, inside the 22, and the Ivorians haven't been there very often. There's the line-out count. 67% to Scotland. Well, that surprised me a little bit. I thought Scotland had dominated pretty well, but there's been some good ball, and that's excellent ball to Lasisi. Now the Scots are over the top to try and get hold of it, and they've won it, and that was a good piece of pilfering by the Scots, because that was line-out ball, well won and controlled by the Ivorians, but taken at the back by Scotland and cleared by Chalmers.
When I watched the Ivorians practicing their line out 2 days ago, it was a total shambles. I'm really impressed at how well they're doing here today. But I must say, Chris, I'm really impressed at the referee. I was really worried about him before the game.
He's having a terrific game and controlling it very nicely. He's a great advocate of the advantage law, which he's been applying very sensibly. Up there goes Sanoko with Wainwright. The Scots have it. Back for Redpath to Chalmers. Chalmers to Stanger, but Stanger's getting nothing out of that midfield. The Scottish forwards again just a little bit sluggish across there, but they have it. Now there's room for Chalmers. Chalmers has found the gap, looking for support inside. He gets it from Shield outside. Shield going all the way up to the 22. Now it's Burnell. Burnell out to Smith. Oh, it's that man! Hastings again, would you believe it? Good grief. It's Hastings again for his third try of the match. He's everywhere. They cannot keep him out. And he is absolutely delighted. They say, listen lads, leave me out of the next move, will you? This is becoming embarrassing. It's all Hastings and it's all Scotland. And that was a lovely piece of running by Chalmers. The ball held up for Shield. Back to Burnell, who'd shown up well in support, as was Smith. And who was there? Yes, you've guessed it. Gavin Hastings, and it's the man himself with the points, and that has taken him up to 27 points, the 27 points with which he created the record in the World Cup 8 long years ago. And here he is, Gavin Hastings, the hero of Scotland, one of the great figures of world rugby. He's scored 27 points again. He's stamped himself all over this match, as he is no doubt over this World Cup.
And what a fabulous bit of support play from prop Paul Burnell in the middle of that move.
Absolutely tremendous. That's taken by Doddy Weir with the leap. Not forward. No advantage, so it'll be a scrummage down to the Ivorians.
Chris, I just get a wee bit worried about Doddy Weir when he jumps for a high ball like that. He's hanging himself out to dry.
Well, of course, he shouldn't be tackled when he goes up. That is very much against the law. The scrummage there wheeled round, but the referee allowing play on, and here's Ian Smith again in support. Out to Chalmers. This is lovely Scottish play to Shield. Shield shimmied through. What a lovely run. Oh, he almost found Wainwright. Couldn't quite, but another wonderful piece of running by Shield. He's all over the place. The Scots still have it though. Now it's Smith in the scrum half position. Not a great scrum half pass to Chalmers, but it'll do. Now to Logan. This is all Scotland. Logan steps out of the tackle, and another tackle. He has Hastings in support. Hastings again, out to Wainwright. Wainwright held short, just a couple of metres short. The Scots are in there. Joyner doing a forwards work, burrowing away, trying to work it back for Mackenzie. Mackenzie to Chalmers, to Walton. Walton ploughing his way over. He's got over for the try. And now it's all Scotland, and suddenly the Ivorians have cracked. And they have no response to the might of the Scottish forwards, and there was the might of Peter Walton crashing over for the try. So Walton's 7th cap, his first try for Scotland, and fitting after a season bedevilled by injury. His first try in the tournament, his first try for Scotland. So suddenly, from being 13 points ahead, they're now 32-0 up. They're out of sight, and this perhaps may just be the sort of play that we're expecting from Scotland.
Well, certainly, I must admit, Walton got the ball there, he drove over. I'm absolutely delighted for him because he's had such a terrible time with injury. It was a wonderful find for Scotland 2 years ago. You can see the ball coming out here. He's only got one thing on his mind, and that's getting over the line. And of course, he's allowed that one extra movement once he hits the ground. I'm delighted for him.
And of course, the Ivorian defence, which has been so secure, now beginning to look a little bit threadbare against the constant pounding. Hastings then, with the conversion, it's there, and Scotland's lead is stretched to 34 points, 29 of them scored by Gavin Hastings, and the other 5 by that man, Peter Walton.
There's also 2 of the Ivorian boys who were behind the goal line there, who were shaking their heads, and one of them was saying, I'm going to go off, and the other one saying, no, I'm going to go off. Really, Scotland just now have the opportunity to really put on a barrel load of points.
I think now they're extremely disheartened, and of course this is when things can go horribly wrong. Kamara kicks off, it hasn't gone the 10 metres. Scots are going to show them no mercy. They're going to scrummage them at the halfway line. Have the option, of course, of letting them kick again, but they're not going to allow them that option. I think they're going to sap their energy now at every possible opportunity and run up a big score. We're into injury time. And I think the Ivorians will be just waiting for that whistle now. They can hardly wait. They must be very tired. It's taken off the back by Wainwright. The Scots are full of running. Chalmers can't get his pass away to Hastings, but good support play by Redpath. And now away comes Joyner. Such a tricky runner, elusive up to the 10-metre line. Redpath again, down the short side. He's still got it. He has support from Smith, who's everywhere. Knocked forward by Scotland. The referee looks at his watch. Almost 2 minutes of injury time played, but of course we did have that injury to Daly, so there'll be a little bit of time.
There's now just the possibility of each of the Scots boys wanting to go through and beat 3 or 4 men, and the difficulty then becomes for the support players, because the ball carrier tends to get a wee bit isolated. He runs away from the ball, but just prior, wee Redpath coming away here very well. He was a bit unlucky there that when the ball was passed out, the ball went to ground from Smith. But just before the last try, Chris, I thought it was tremendous how Kenny Logan stood up so long in the tackle when 3 men had hit him, and he waited and stayed his ground for the support players to get there.
I think that's the point, Gordon, that in many ways the weight of the Ivorian tackle now is not quite so strong as it was early on, and the Scots are being able to stay on their feet, but they're combining now with forwards and backs quite beautifully. There is an injury to Ngabala, a number 11 on the far side. Another crucial blow that would be, because he's a powerhouse on the left wing, and he's gone off I thought he might have just gone off the field for treatment, but the stretcher's gone out again. So this would be appalling luck for the Ivorians if they were to lose both Athanasi, Adali and Ngabala. 3 minutes of injury time played. To Kamara, mighty hoof up to Hastings waits, he's got time. Takes it beautifully, gets support from Walton. Oh, Walton tears up over the halfway line. He's almost unstoppable. In there is Smith. Now to Redpath. Chalmers out to Hastings. To Joyner. Joyner going to take on Patrice Berry. A lovely little link up if he could have made the pass to Hastings, but it went astray. And the Ivorians now looking very tired indeed as we go well into injury time. Ngabala still receiving treatment, and as he is, Max Brito comes on as the replacement. Brito himself, who's been having injury problems, they didn't really want to play him today. Scrummage goes down. The Ivorians wheeled. Good long pass there back to Kouassi inside his 22. And he finds the sanctuary of touch. And hopefully for the Ivorians, the half-time whistle, but no, they're going to have to play on a little bit yet. That is the half-time whistle, and Scotland and their hero Gavin Hastings, a comfortable lead. Gavin Hastings, 29 points in the first half. The Scots leading by 34 points to 0. It really has been a handsome half-time score, although they were given their surprises in the early part of the half, but now they're in control. 34 points to 0, Scotland lead.
Welcome back to Rustenburg. Scotland leading the Ivory Coast by 34 points to 0. Let's hand you over to our commentator, Chris Ray.
Thank you, Alistair. Well, the Ivorians just waiting, rather dispirited at the moment, but they've got to pick themselves up. They've given a tremendous account of themselves so far. It's going to be a difficult second half for them. They must just stick in. Kamara, the replacement for the captain, Atanis Dali, to restart. That's a good one. Taken by Stuart Campbell. Lays it back beautifully for Redpath. That's a difficult kick, a hanging, awkward one for Dupont. And Dupont could do nothing. He didn't mean to put it into Walton's path, but a little bit difficult for Walton to control there. So Dupont, one of 10 players in this side playing for French clubs. Knocked forward by Walton, so it's a put-in to the Ivory Coast. But they must get the scrummage straight. Well, they're allowed to play it in, but the scrums have wheeled beyond the 90 degrees.
The scrummaging in the first half was excellent. So Scotland really must start putting a lot more work into the scrum here to get more tiredness into their legs.
Yes, they've got a very good competitive scrummage. They're very muscular, the forwards. They've got a tall back row and an experienced and technically quite sound front row. Number 1 is Ernest Blay on the loose head. Now that's a good controlled heel for Dupont. Oh, a lovely piece of footwork there by Kamara. But not the best of kicks. And that's given Scotland a line out. Kevin Mackenzie just trying to make himself heard above the din that's continued throughout this game. Great atmosphere. Doddy Ware dominant in the line out, standing at 2, but it goes to the back. Up there goes Wainwright. Palms back for Campbell on the peel. Good ball player Campbell, stays on his feet. The Scots trying to lay it back, but those opponents are so awkward, they interpose themselves all the time. The referee decreeing that the Scots were going forward, they were trying to get it back, and therefore they deserve the scrummage.
It looked as if Alistair Campbell had all the time in the world to try and gather in the loose ball that came back from that line out.
Now, this is interesting. Felice Vito is calling Peter Wright again for the second time, and he's, I think, issuing him a last warning, because first of all he was caught up for stamping, and now he's giving back chat to the referee, and Rob Wainwright trying to act as the diplomat there, but really there's no excuse for that. It's pointless to argue with the referee, and the Scots should be above that. So it's given the Ivorians the chance to clear, only as far as Gavin Hastings, just about the last man you want to pick out at the moment. That was untidy, but Wainwright cleans up, lays it back beautifully, almost too quickly. Up to the halfway line the Scots come now. Redpath burrowing in there. Tiny figure, but valiant to the last. The Ivorians caught going to ground, working the ball back on the ground.
Chris, just to go back to the Peter Wright incident, I actually think he was innocent. I think he stepped a big step over the player who was on the ground.
Yes, but he was disagreeing. I think it was disagreeing with the referee's decision. I think it was actually for back chat rather than for foul play. So whatever it is, Gordon, he's on a final warning, and that, of course, in this World Cup would be calamitous for the player, because that means the end of their tournament. So he'll have to behave himself and watch himself for the rest of this game. Line out. Up there soars Campbell. Out to Chalmers to Shield. Shield trying to bring Joyner into the game, but Joyner caught up in the Ivorian midfield. But there's plenty of room here now for Chalmers and for Shield, and they make a mess of it between them and Gavin Hastings. I think there was a case of almost too many cooks there. Stanger and Shield and Gavin Hastings.
There just seemed to be a wee bit of panic there about how the Scots were going about handling that ball. They don't need to panic, they just need to sit back and go through the basics.
Well, there was a huge gap ahead of them. Mackenzie, I think that's a dummy throw, but look, away come the Ivorians, and they've got away with it. Sanogo goes forward, the referee allowed play on. His point being that was Mackenzie's mistake. Mackenzie had actually dummied the throw, had mistimed his throw, whatever, but that actually was taken by the Ivorians. It was advantage to them, and Sanogo charged up, and that was an extra bonus for them. And away came Sanogo. Look at the speed of this man. They say he can do 100 metres in 11 seconds. Certainly now we see why. But the Scots have got back in control, and this is a good driving maul. The Ivorians having to give ground, giving Redpath all the time, and Chalmers all the time they need to clear. That was good control play by the Scots up to the halfway line.
Yes, Chris, that was almost comic cut stuff. But certainly Doddy Weir made a lovely jump in the line out there, gathered the ball in beautifully to allow Craig Chalmers to clear everything now back to halfway, and let's see Scotland settling down again.
Well, I don't know about the time jump, but certainly the throw wasn't very well timed for Sanogo's drive, but these are all problems that the Scots have got to work out now. Better to do it now than later on in the tournament. The line out on the halfway line. Jehi with the throw. Taken once again by Scotland and by Doddy Weir. He's really been untouchable. The referee trying to get the Ivorians back on side, and digging it out is Redpath, but the Ivorians refused to get back on side, and so Mr. Vito had no choice. Quickly taken by Redpath. Mackenzie holds it up. Scots have it at the back of the maul. They're trying to set it up again now for Chalmers. The pass to Stanger, now to Hastings, out to Logan with a little bit of room. Such a powerful runner, up over the halfway line, over the 10-metre line. Stanger in support, but he's brought down now. Once again comes Craig Joyner, who's come all the way over from the right-hand side of the field. Lays it back, this time for Burnell acting as scrum half. Chalmers again to Shield. Shield no way through there. Links up with his forwards in support instead. Now they're trying to maul it on, up to the 22. They're not going to get any further. To Redpath. To Hastings. Hastings upended by Lassisi in a lovely tackle. Lassisi looked most impressive. The Scots, though, still on their feet. Now Redpath tries the short side. Links up with Wainwright. Wainwright, a lovely runner. So comfortable with the ball in his hands. Up to the 22 he comes. Laid back for Chalmers again. Chalmers, the lovely little chink. Inside to Stanger. Stanger couldn't get it, though. And the Ivorians trying to get it back, but away comes Kenny Logan, and Kenny Logan's going to score. It was easy enough in the end. Kenny Logan found a gap. The defence had been overstretched. And to the Scots' delight, Kenny Logan was through for the try. And there'll be no more worthy try scorer than that. Kenny Logan had such a superb season, his 18th cap. And his second try for Scotland.
Yes, it was lovely to see Wainwright tying things in there before the ball was released out to Kenny Logan, and he was like a bullet when he went through there for the line. He loves these situations, but here we see the ball coming back now, nice and cleanly.
And the gap just opened up ahead of him, and he's too strong a runner to stop there. So now we await Gavin Hastings' conversion with a little bit more interest than usual, because Hastings is poised on 29 points. Were he to kick this, it would be a new world record. I wonder if Hastings is in the slightest bit concerned about that. Probably not. Such a cool customer. He kicks. So it's not the record this time. We'll have to wait a little bit. That's escaped him. But the Scots go further ahead, 39 points to nil with their first try in the second half, scored by Kenny Logan.
There was certainly no pressure on Gavin there, and he knew it, because he knows fine he's going to make the record in a wee while.
Yes, I think there may be plenty more where that came from, Gordon, but I am terribly impressed by the Ivorians because they've stuck to it so well. As you rightly say, in training they've looked most unimpressive, and today they've given a worthy account of themselves. And remember, they're playing without two of their top performers who have both been injured. That's taken by Weir. Now the Scots showing the sort of control that we expected from them right from the start. And that's a good rolling maul up to the 10-metre line. They're brought down now for Redpath to Chalmers. Chalmers deciding that this is for the high kick. And it's a good one. Underneath it is Brito. He doesn't seem to want it. Shields in there. Takes it beautifully. Looks for support. Only so far as Satiq. That was lovely play. Oh, it's charged down by Chalmers. It's going to be a try if he can collect it and drop over the line, which he does. The Scots have scored again. And really they're putting so much pressure on the Ivorians. They're tempting them into all manner of mistakes. And that was so easy for Craig Chalmers. Today, the most capped Scottish fly half. And his first try of the tournament. His fifth try in all for Scotland. And calmly done. He was in there so quickly. So you're right, Gordon, we haven't had to wait too long. Now it was Brito, but look at Shield in there so quickly. He looked round for support. Naomi was in there. But there was the charge down from Kamara. And it was just a question of the ball bouncing well for Chalmers, which it did. It was all made by Shield. Kamara just a little bit slow in the uptake. Chalmers was not. The ball bounced well for him and he was over for the try. So now this time, Gavin Hastings, 29 points. This for the world record. Calm, cool. He's missed it. I don't believe it. That's probably the easiest kick he's had all afternoon. And he's pulled that one wide as well. Well, we'll have to wait a little bit longer.
It was lovely to see the Melrose triumvirate there, though, with Shield coming through like a bomb to catch that ball. And of course, it was Joyner that was up to Harry, the clearing kicker, and then for Chalmers to charge down and go over.
So Kamara for the second time in as many minutes having to restart. Again, too many Scots in there. They're not calling cleanly for the ball. That's indiscipline. They'll not get away with that in the bigger games. There were just too many in there trying to go for it, and there was a knock forward. Now, accidentally offside. I thought for a moment that so did the Scots, there'd been a knock forward, but it was accidentally offside. I think we're getting in front of Wainwright. Now Lasisi to Kamara, Satiq. This is a rare attack. The kick for Buasso. Oh, it nearly bounced well for him, but he was being tracked all the while by Kenny Logan. The ball quickly taken into Wainwright. Away comes Gavin Hastings to Kevin McKenzie. Doddy Weir in support, couldn't control it. The referee waits for advantage, but now.
Well, the Scottish boys certainly have the chance now to enjoy themselves and indulge a wee bit. Gavin certainly looked there as if he was full of running, and I think it's maybe just a wee bit too soon to become far too loose. I still want to see a bit of discipline, especially in the forwards.
Scrummage goes down.
But why shouldn't Gavin indulge himself?
This of all days, Gordon. Yes, I think we can allow him that indulgence. 3 tries for the match, 29 points for the match. Scotland leading 44-0. That's certainly a figure that won't be forgotten in Scottish rugby lore with the Springboks, but this time it's on the right side of the balance. Now the Ivorians come away again. Nyaku can't link up, and in there is Chalmers. That's 2 promising little attacks by the Ivorians down the 3-quarter line. And they haven't given up, and that's so good to see. At the front there for this line out for the Ivorians, Lasisi, who to my mind has been the most impressive forward on the open side flank. And that's the hooker, Angoran. Opposite him, Paul Burnell, playing today his 2nd game for Scotland on the loose head. All the others on the tight head. Now the Scots jumping into that line out. The referee decreeing that there was some barging going on by the Ivorians. The constant hubbub in the crowd, it really has been the most wonderful atmosphere, which the Ivorians certainly would enjoy. Their biggest crowd, probably about 2,000, as Chalmers finds a safe touch. And there they are. They've enjoyed the afternoon's entertainment. And of course the biggest crowd that the Ivorians will have ever played in front of by a huge margin. They were saying that at the very best, the big matches, maybe 2,000 come to watch their club games. There's Wainwright with a little bit of leakage from his ear. Back for Redpath. Chalmers. Stanger looking for support. Gets it from Shield. Quick hands from Shield. Out to Joyner, who'd come in from the blindside wing. He's a difficult man to pin down. He's still on his feet. The Scots waiting for it. Just outside the 22. Redpath has options. Chalmers found a gap. Just brought down at the end, but support from Smith and from Wainwright, taken by Dupont, and away come the Ivory Coast. Now are they going to launch something spectacular? No, only as far as Hastings on the halfway line. Hastings checking on his options, finds Shield, who really has run and passed beautifully this afternoon, to Wainwright in support, out to Mackenzie on the wing position, to Walton bursting through, support coming in now from Stuart Campbell thrown to the ground, but the Scots still have it. They need just to tidy it up a little bit as away comes Sonoko, but offside. It's all just a little bit loose, Gordon.
Yes, but it's inevitable, Chris, I suppose, that it becomes like this. The Scots boys are being caught all over the place because the Ivorians are all over the place as well.
So Felice Vito trying to get the Ivorians 10 metres back. It's a hard job as Redpath sets the Scots off on another attack. Stanger, he has support from Wainwright, gets it now from Chalmers into Joyner, who like all good wings has come in looking for work, always busy, always trying to get into the action, keeping the Ivorians onside as Chalmers launches another attack, and away comes Shield. It's a lovely run again, a mazy run to Chalmers. Chalmers has Logan outside him. So easy for Logan to coast over. Oh, has he put it down? He's gone over, has he? Has he been given the score? Yes, just. But he was very close to going over the dead ball line there, I thought.
The referee, I think, was very kind to Scotland there, because I think Kenny Logan was just caught out a wee bit by the defence pace. It will be very interesting to see that. Here it comes.
Well, here it comes. They had all the room in the world as Chalmers linked up with Shield, and Shield once again made the initial breathe. Chalmers had stayed in support, and then it was a question of drawing his man. Now, he had all the time to put the ball down. Oh yes, fair enough, he's just got it down. So it was a legitimate try, no doubt about that. Kenny Logan's second. And here we go again. Shield, beautiful hands, lovely pass by Chalmers, and it was Logan with Kamara in support, but he got it down just in time. And so that's Kenny Logan's second try of the match. 49 points to Scotland.
Kamara's attitude has been wonderful. He and Dupont, they just will not lie down at all in any way whatsoever. I felt actually sorry for Dupont 2 minutes ago when he ran out of defence and then had a terrible kick to try and clear. But these fellows, if they could only get some of that inspiration that they have through to some of their forwards, but I'm afraid some of the forwards look awful tired.
Well, they've taken a battering, they've stood up well to it, but they must be extremely tired now, and certainly the strength of their tackling has diminished quite dramatically over the last 20 minutes and has created all sorts of gaps for the Scots. So now, Gavin Hastings, tight to the touchline, with what would be an historic kick were he to get it. He's got a good contact. Has he got it? He has! And that has given Gavin Hastings 31 points for the match. A new world record for Scotland's most capped fullback and one of the game's greatest ambassadors, and certainly one of the game's most popular players, the new world record holder. For how long, we don't know. He only held it for 2 hours 8 years ago when Didier Cambrabero overtook it with 30 points, and then that of course was joined by Rob Andrew this season. But now Gavin Hastings is out on his own as the Scots regroup, relaunch another attack, and the Ivorians try to stem the tide. Difficult ball there for Redpath. He did valiantly to get there and to clean up, but now the Scots have tidied up, and back there comes Joyner in the scrum half position. I do like the way Joyner works. And this is a very, very impressive maul now by the Scots. Chalmers to Shield. Shield, oh, going to try and find Stanger, but nowhere. But once again, look at Joyner, always doing the tidying up, the unwanted chores. Out to Logan. Logan up to the 10-metre line. Support from Chalmers. Quick dispatch to Wainwright. Wainwright brought down before he could unleash. Now away comes Redpath. Out to Logan again. Logan cuts inside. And the Scots still have it. Out to Chalmers. Chalmers has Wainwright, but out to Shield, now to Stanger, and Stanger going to cross over for the try. So easy now. The tries are beginning to flow, and Tony Stanger had all the room and all the time he needed there as the Scots celebrate another Scottish try.
Again, Kamara not giving in, forcing Stanger as wide as possible. And you know, it was great to see wee Mackenzie there giving the scoring pass. For a moment, I actually thought he was going to dummy Stanger and cut back inside. And you know, Chris, I'm sure he thought about it.
Well, it would have got a great roar, but he was very, very generous there. A lovely little pass to him, and it just gave Stanger the extra little, with the extra pace, the chance to get over for the try.
I'm sure in his dreams tonight he'll dummy. I'm sure he will. Because after the attempted drop goal that he had out in Argentina, I'm sure he still got something up his sleeve.
So Gavin Hastings again to try and increase that record haul of points. He got a good contact again. The ball just drifted off and hit the post. Again, a lovely contact. He's striking the ball quite beautifully, which is encouraging for the future rounds. And there is Tony Stanger, the try scorer. Scored 2 tries in his last outing in the centre against Romania, and another one this afternoon. And 19 tries now in all for Scotland.
I'm now looking for the Scottish forwards to up their work rate, not to lie back. If they can up their work rate now and use this 100% as a tremendous fitness session as well as a great workout against opposition.
Chalmers inside his 22, trying nothing fancy, and that's wise now because the Scots are well out of sight.
It really does give them a tremendous chance to go through their repertoire of moves now.
Yes, this is what we should be seeing, perhaps the opportunity behind the scrum certainly, where Shield has been absolutely outstanding with his running from inside centre. Shelley to the back, up there goes Kano. But the gap between the lineouts wasn't satisfactory for the referee. Now away comes Doddy Ware. Ian Smith at his elbow as he's been all afternoon. Laid back for Redpath to Chalmers. To Shield. Shield, that lovely pass to Joyner. What's De Joyner going to do? Trying to take on Max Brito, but Brito's having none of it. Into touch.
I would be much happier, Chris, if I saw more of the Scottish forwards taking the ball dead straight, right down the middle of the park. They're still not committing enough of the Ivorian defenders.
So the line out on the 22. There's Joyner looking to take on his man, but Brito had him covered all the way. There was nothing that Joyner could have done. Jehi throws to the front, back for Redpath. Chalmers lying shallow. Off goes Shield again into the 22. Now away comes Burnell. Burnell charging up to the line. This is going to be a try all the way. He couldn't believe it. The defence opened up in front of him, and Paul Burnell, in his 38th international, has scored his first try for Scotland, and a proud man he is, Paul Burnell.
What a wonderful burst of speed there when he got the ball in his hands. It was lovely to see. And you know, he has rampaged all around this park today, doing some great support work. The ball hasn't always come his way, but by Jove, he certainly took his chance there.
So Gavin Hastings, this time, no doubt about it, another 2 points, and that takes Scotland's lead, stretches it to 63 points, and that overhauls their previous biggest score in this World Cup, the tournament, and that was against Zimbabwe in 1987. So here we are, there it is, a thunderous run by Paul Burnell. There was nothing to stop him at all, no one was going to stop him. I don't think he's ever had quite so far to run for the line as that, but he took it well.
And of course, now that they've kicked the ball dead, it's a scrum back at the halfway line with the Scotland foot in. It's a crazy mistake by the Ivorians.
Yes, they're losing now their discipline, not their discipline on the field, because that's been exemplary, but just bits and bobs. Away comes Wainwright. Redpath in support. Out to Chalmers. Chalmers looking for support. Gets it now from Redpath. Redpath taking on Sunoco. And there's Joyner again. He deserves a try. He's worked so hard, but there's nobody to try from there. Redpath, away they come. The Scots 3-3. Shield cuts up the midfield. That's not such a good pass to Stanger, but Stanger does well to clear it to Redpath. Now, Logan looking for a gap. He has men outside him and finds support from Mackenzie. Mackenzie to Chalmers. Chalmers has Captain Hastings outside, but he's still going up and over the 22. Taken down by Brito. Away comes Joyner, but the Ivorians were so far offside. The referee, though, deciding that in fact the ruck hadn't been formed, so he's going to give the scrummage. There are 15 minutes remaining. The Scots leading by 63 points to nil, and there with that phenomenal amount of possession, 92% of the possession. Little wonder that their lead is so large. Quickly taken by Redpath. Redpath to Mackenzie. Mackenzie thought that Wainwright had remained out on the wing, but he hadn't. I think the Scots, though, will certainly want to get over 70 points. They'll feel that would be a satisfactory afternoon's work, and I think honour would be served on both sides.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And the referee has now given Scotland another penalty, and the boys look as if they've called for a scrum down. And I'm delighted at that, because it now gives them a chance to go through another repertoire move.
Well, the Ivorian scrummage has held up very well, so let's see what they can do here. They're obviously going for the shove. Now they're putting it on, but they're not giving much ground. They've collapsed now on this loose head side. Wainwright picks up at the back. crawls round on all fours, but Lasisi is waiting there in ambush, lying in wait, and Joyner is in, trying to get the ball out. Let we see, all we see are hands. There's the ball now. Now we can see it. But Felice Vito decided that the Ivorians are coming over the top, preventing Scotland from getting the ball. So he's awarding another scrummage. Well, the Scots have dominated all phases of play, but not so much the scrummage, I must say. The Ivorian scrummaging has really been astonishingly good.
And that's considering that they can't stand training at scrummaging. They did 4 on Thursday.
Yes. The scrummaging machine was never threatened, but here they go now, the Scots. The scrummage went down on the loose head side for the Ivorians. The referee, though, waving play on. What are the Scots going to do? Chalmers looking for a gap. He finds Gavin Hastings just short of his 4th try, trying to find it though. Now Redpath has so much space outside him, going on his own. He's held up. And the Scots have given away possession there.
It certainly was tempting for Redpath to go on his own, but there was a 4-man overlap on his left.
I think it is very difficult, as you were saying, Gordon, to almost have the collective spirit when things are running so much your own way. It's very, very tempting to take things on and do too much on your own. That's a better Scottish scrummage. That's embarrassed the Ivorians behind their own line, but Satik came away and scrambled the ball into touch, much to the delight, I think, of the crowd. They really enjoyed that. And Satik has looked a very accomplished player in midfield, but the Scots are well satisfied now. Nothing can befall them. 63 points the lead.
I was quite surprised, though, that the referee allowed the scrum to continue there, because when the Ivorian loose head pulled it down, okay, that should have been a penalty. But with the players on the floor, the referee still allowed the match to continue.
Kevin McKenzie, great competitor, throws in. Up there goes Doddy Weir. Arch back. Not straight. And the Ivorians, not unnaturally, will go for the scrummage. That's where they've looked most comfortable. But Felice Vito, to his credit, has refereed this game quite superb. Potentially a difficult and explosive game. He's done it immaculately. Dupont in trouble, caught behind his scrum. Scots in now looking for it. Working it back, Redpath burrowing in there as a 9th forward. Quickly taken. Now to Wainwright. Wainwright thinks about the pass. Dummies held up. But too many Ivorians coming over the top. They're not staying on their feet, all over the place. And Jay in there lending his tuppence worth. Now the Scots will go for another quickie. Redpath play on, says the referee. Out to Stanger. Stanger hasn't really made up much impact in midfield. Away comes Smith now. Releases the ball for Walton, and Walton's over for his 2nd try. And Walton, a most powerful presence in the back row. And it's his 2nd try of the match. And the Scots extend their lead. So, very fitting for Walton, who's had such problems this season with injury. He's missed most of the season for his club Northampton, and of course for Scotland. So how nice to see him back.
That last series of scrummages in which the Ivorians did very well, I think it's taken every single ounce of strength out of most of their pack.
Yes, they're shattered now. They're behind their line. They're not even going to bother charging this kick as Gavin Hastings plants it between the posts, and that's the 70 points up for Scotland, and that will be a satisfactory outing for them to have reached 70 points. But there's all sorts of disarray behind the Ivorian line. Here was the try. As Gordon Brown was saying, it took a lot of stamina out of the Ivorian defence. Chalmers back to Ian Smith. Ian Smith's worked so hard to his flank colleague, and over went Walton for the try.
Yes, at the breakdown there was actually only one of the Ivorian forwards had got across from the previous set play.
Now we're seeing the stretcher on for the 3rd time this afternoon. Just a reminder that Atanis Dali's off, so too is the wing Nkabala. play continues as Wainwright, a sinuous run. Chalmers, pass from Shield out to Logan. Logan has Busaka outside him, and he's around. A lovely run by Logan. He's still going. Chalmers in support. Chalmers outside to Shield. Shield outside to Stanger. Stanger brought down just short of the line, and into touch. And that was a brave tackle by the Ivorians. Kamara, I think it was, who got across there. Meanwhile, we have another replacement. It's Alfred Oku from Poitiers, who comes on as a replacement. But that was a lovely piece of running by Scotland, and tremendous defence by the Ivorians.
You know, Sheila's such a beautifully balanced runner. He's really on top form.
Lovely skills. He's the most beautiful passer of a ball in the modern game, and we've seen that today, and a classic centre break. 8 minutes of play remaining as the Scots come away through Walton once again. On his shoulder is Wainwright, desperately trying to work the ball back now. Is Mackenzie. He's in there, but the ball is over the line, is it? And I think it's Peter Wright who's got there. It was the Scottish prop who scrambled over for the try. And yes, the smile on his face says it all. It's Peter Wright who scrambled over for another Scottish try. And his first for Scotland to boot.
That's actually a moment in Scottish history that we've recorded on film. Peter Wright smiling on a rugby field.
We've also, I may say, recorded with that try the highest score in the tournament ever recorded. But let's just have a look at this again. Yes, it was Wright who came through that ruck of players to touchdown for his first try for Scotland.
He was awful worried there that the referee hadn't seen it.
It's the first time he smiled at the referee for the afternoon anyway. With the conversion attempt. Again, a good solid contact, but this one has escaped him. But the Scots have taken that lead 75 points to 0, and that has created a new record for the World Cup, because the previous highest score was achieved by the All Blacks against Fiji in 1987. So a historic day in so many ways, with Gavin Hastings creating a world point scoring record, and the Scots now achieving a new total of points for the tournament. Shield to Hastings. Away goes Logan again, full of running. But Boassa has stuck to his task, took him down. Chalmers. Stanger draws his man before releasing Hastings. Now Joyner, let's see what he can do against Max Brito. He was almost round, but he's passed inside to Shield. Shield has Hastings outside him, and Hastings is over for the fourth try of his match. What a lovely try by Gavin Hastings. And a marvellous moment for Hastings. Shield was determined that he would give it to the captain.
I thought he'd actually passed to Gavin quickly, because he didn't seem to draw Kamara properly. We'll see the ball coming out wide now, right through the hands of the Scots. Shield coming up in the inside. Away goes Joyner. Now Joyner hands off his opposite man beautifully there. And I thought Shield's pass, I thought, was just slightly ahead, but Gavin took it beautifully on the burst and glided away outside.
Well, it was marvellously unselfish of Shield. Once again, Joyner had set up the move, and he hadn't quite drawn his man, as you say, Gordon, but I think he was so determined that Gavin would have the fourth try of the match, which again equals another record, and that's the most tries scored by an individual in a World Cup match, which is 4. There are quite a few on that, but I wouldn't bet against Hastings creating yet another record. Oh, he's hit that beautifully. I think that's true. It's straight between the posts. And that's Hastings' 40th point for the game. He's going further and further away in the world record stakes. He's smashed the old one of 30. He's taken it to 40. The Scots have moved on to 82-0. And still, I think the Ivory Coast have done themselves proud.
Chris, I think at the very first meeting the Scottish players have, they'll fine Graham Shield for not dummying Gavin Hastings at that moment.
Up there goes Perry. Just 4 minutes of play remaining. And it's a very tired Ivorian side, but the Scots are still full of running away. Comes Shield. Took a terrific tackle there from Lassisi, who's never given up. Red path there, that's a lovely kick and straight in. I thought for a moment it was just going to dip, but it's straight into touch.
I must admit, Lassisi can hold his head very high today. The guy has done a marvellous job for the Ivory Coast.
Well, this is a rare moment for the Ivorians. They're up close to the Scottish 22. They've been pinned in their own half for most of the last 40 minutes. It's not straight, but it's advantage taken by Smith. Smith, a lovely little feint, out support. Oh, beautifully taken by Chalmers. Now to Shield. The Scots are in full flow. Shield's pass, though, to Wainwright went astray. But once again, the Scots may have pillaged it, just stolen it. They have. Chalmers now deciding to come down the blind side, linking up with Logan. Logan held up. Now the Scottish forwards come in support. And we're all going to ground. The referee waits, waiting to see if advantage can be played, and it can. Red path to Chalmers, linking up with Mackenzie. Such an enthusiast in the loose. Now Burnell. Stanger. It's to Hastings. Hastings to Joyner. What can Joyner do this time? Can he get round Brito? No, Brito's held on to him. Back out to Hastings. Hastings inside to Wainwright, but Hastings had put a foot in touch. Just 2 minutes of play remaining.
I'm delighted to see Craig Chalmers running so freely. He's running off the ball there when Smith drove away from the back of that line out. It was superb. And it's great to see him gliding over the turf as freely now as he's always done in the past when he's been at full fitness.
So that was Craig Joyner, who's worked so hard to try and get a try, and then to give his captain another chance. So the line-out, Jehi throws to the middle. Up there goes Wainwright at the back. Wainwright powers through. Support from Walton. Walton holds it up for Weir. Weir held up just short. Well, all the Scottish forwards trying to get in on the act. We're into the last minute, and another injury, and the fatigue beginning to tell. The power of Walton. It's so difficult to keep stopping these Scottish forwards as they pile forward. There was Doddy Weir, just short of the line, but again very determined and tenacious tackling by the Ivorians. No one can accuse them of giving up. 82-0, Gordon, seems an awful big score, but they've kept to their task very well.
Yes, and also we have to remember the incredible effort they put into the first 15 minutes when really they had the Scottish forwards all at sea, and it seemed as if the Scottish forwards didn't know how they were going to cope with the game. But thankfully it all came together, and we've now got this wonderful, marvellous, handsome score on the on the scoreboard for Scotland. And Doddy Weir will now be thinking agonisingly, gosh, I was so close to my try.
Well, he'll certainly be ribbed, I should think, by the two props. Both try scorers for Scotland this afternoon. And the Scottish crowd waiting to acclaim their heroes. They've certainly enjoyed themselves this afternoon. We're in now to injury time as Dupont puts the ball into the scrum, waits at the back, but still the Ivorians refuse to give. Out to Kamara. Kamara's not surely going to run from there, no. He decides that he'll try and get the ball into touch, which he does. He had a very narrow angle, but did well. So, one of the last set plays of the match, surely. It's Mackenzie throws. Up there goes Weir and Campbell. Weir has it, but there's an Ivorian in the middle there, offside. Now the Scots surely will run this. See if they can get another try, a 13th. Campbell laying off on the wing, see if he can get a quick ball maybe from Redpath. Redpath, though, fires it out to Logan. Logan held up underneath the posts. The Scots now mauling, trying to take the ball over the line. The Ivorians still hold up. In there goes Mackenzie, digging it out for Redpath. Redpath to Chalmers, Chalmers to Shield, and Shield is over, and there could be no more fitting try scorer than Shield. He's been so unselfish, he's made the breaks, he's made the passes for everyone else, and so there's the smile that tells you that there's the try that everyone I think was hoping we would see from Graham Shield.
Well, that looks about a nice smile on his future father-in-law's face. Of course, Dougie Morgan, the Scottish coach. But Shields had a marvellous game. I'm delighted for him.
So that's the Scots' 13th try. Here it comes again. There was so much room, and Shield had no problems this time. Made for him. We're 2 minutes into injury time. Gavin Hastings attempting to stretch this world record a little bit further. That's a beautiful kick. It's crept in, it's crept over, and the Scots have finished on the highest possible note. Gavin Hastings, without doubt the hero of the afternoon. 4 tries, a world record, 42 points, smashing the old one by 12 points. The Scots scoring 13 tries. And after a sticky start, there was never any doubt this huge Scottish support has come to cheer them and will be well satisfied with the day. But also praise to the Ivorians. They stuck to their task. But the final score for Scotland, 89 points to 0.